Karolina, I mean, first up, wow, there's some love coming through for your look here. So let's just pick some of these up and where should we start? Beautiful lady Colette, she's just put. Sophie, how you doing, Sophie? I'm just in love with your head. You look amazing. Thank you. You don't have to compliment me like that. Eleni, beautiful. Kim, beautiful lady. Julie, gorgeous. Karolina, our very own George. She's beautiful. Damien, how you doing, Damien? So stunner. She's bloody gorgeous. Yeah, look, isn't that lovely? I love this from Charlotte as well. I think this is very true. It shows off your perfect bone structure. How cool is that? It does. It really does. Isn't that nice?
Guys.
So come on then, Karolina. Tell us about this. When did this start? What was the first signs of this?
Well, actually, it only started 10 months ago. The reason why I'm saying only is because some alopecia sufferers, they actually have it for longer time than that. I've come to know that there's people out there that has alopecia for over years and years. So mine started in January. I found a tiny little, like fingernail size, just patch of like bald patch on the side of my head. And I have to say that absolutely threw me for the rest of the day. I was pointed out when I got to work, Karolina, you got bald patch, and I knew exactly what it was. And I got called Mark, and I was pretty upset, to be honest, because I knew exactly what was going to come with it, but I didn't know to what extent. But I was worried about basically this, that I have to shave my hair off.
Can I just ask you to just tilt your head forward, if you don't mind, Caroline, just to show people where you've lost the hair. So if you could just point that out.
Well, I've lost. I don't know if you can see, but I've got like a bald patch there. But then, this is where it started from. This is like my first part, and then that started very small, and then it became bigger, and then gradually I got this one, and then I got few spots on the front as well.
Okay.
So there was no way of me hiding it.
Right, so you sort of dealt with that. So, I mean, the one thing about alopecia, and I'm going to be completely honest here, George, I'm not hugely knowledgeable about alopecia, but, but are you quite knowledgeable about this, George, this subject?
No, I wouldn't say I'm totally knowledgeable. No, I wouldn't say I know enough about it. I know that a lot of trauma or stress can bring it on. I know that when I had my second child, the same happened to me. So not massive amounts, but actually I receded and I lost all of this hair here. So I did a similar thing to what Karolina's done, and I shaved all my hair off on the number one. And I had that for like 2 years. I think it's a bit. I think you look amazing, mate. To be honest, well, I think
What was your feelings, though, Karolina, in terms of what were you most fearful of, other than the obvious of losing hair? What kind of went through your mind?
Okay, so when I was in my 20s, I shaved my head just for fun. So it was about number 2 all over, and I remember I hated it. I absolutely hated it. With my first fear was that, first of all, that obviously I have to shave it all off, but the fact that I didn't know what's happening, like why am I going bald? So that worried me the most. It's like, what is the reason why I'm going bald for? And I didn't know much about alopecia, and obviously since then I've had this, I have looked into it more and more. So I've realized I've learned more about the different types of alopecia there are, and I wasn't really aware of.
Can you just share that? What did you learn?
So basically what I have is called patchy areata. So it goes in patches, and it's like an alopecia areata. It comes in different forms. There's different types of alopecia areata, and mine is called patchy areata, which because it comes in those little patches. But then this can form into something called totalis, which means that everything goes. So then I will have no hair. And that totalis can then go into universalis, which is basically could be everything. My eyelashes, my every body hair would go. So that's one that you kind of almost fear for as well, because you think, well, is it going to develop into something like that? Because it could do. So those are the areas that you worry. And then you do have other ones as other parts of other types of alopecia as well. For example, you can lose just the hair, like a thinning. So you have like so your hair is thinning, and quite often we mistake that into just thinning hair, but actually that could be a form of alopecia. Now, what we need to check when we go to have alopecia is not just the fact that we're stressed. Yes, that's a huge factor of the reason why you would lose hair. But you have to look at your underlying health issues, because I've gone through tests for my thyroid, because they say that that can be a huge factor of you having an alopecia. You also could have vitamin deficiency, which can also cause it. And they found that I had very, very low vitamin B, which they had to up, and they said that could be something to do with it. They also have found that hormone imbalance can cause that. So it might be that you, as a woman, you're in a contraceptive that actually can cause your hair then falling out or creating alopecia. Of course, what Georgia said as well, losing, having a child, that causes, because that's a hormonal imbalance when you have a child, and that's when you lose your hair. There's so many different factors that can cause alopecia that you do need to you can't just think, okay, I'm stressed, I've lost my hair. You have to go to the doctors and find out what's actually causing it, which quite often they can't tell you, but they can narrow down. Yes, it's not your thyroid, it's not your hormones. It's there's that you go that route then.
And is there a magic potion for it? Because there seems to be a magic potion for everything. Is there a product out there that can actually regrow hair?
Well, actually, there's steroid injections that you can have to be injected into the area, or you can have steroid creams that can also help the hair growth, and they have often they do work. They've seen those treatments working, but when I looked into that, the underlying issues you may have from obviously using steroids can be quite severe, like high blood pressure. It can also, some of the treatments can also create all these different autoimmune disorders, like like diabetes even. So it's one of those things that you just, which route you want to go is entirely your route that you want to take. But I haven't gone through those the treatment route at all.
And another question, and I'm going to let George, I know she'd probably have a question for you on this as well, but was there a moment where you became very accepting of it? So you have that, oh my God, the panic, I'm a woman, I'm losing my hair here, to then actually thinking, look, I'm going to really embrace this and feel good about it. I first saw about this as a post on social media, so that made me think, actually, is this where you became quite accepting of this, and I'm going to be proud of what I'm going to be experiencing here?
I think that was the first time when I actually did accept it. There was one evening Mark was always supportive of it, and me shaving my hair, and he said, like, look, just do it. And he put me on to following people that have alopecia, and I realized that there's so many women out there that look great with shaved heads, and it kind of gave me that courage, and he encouraged me to sort of just shave my hair as it is. But that moment when I was so unsure still, when he shaved it off, that evening when I decided, we were just having dinner, and I said, like, right guys, we're going back to the salon after this dinner and we're going to shave my hair off. And Mark was like, really? you sure? And he was really excited because he actually wanted to really do it. So I think that point, I felt like when the hair came off, I felt like I could kind of leave it. I can kind of move on. I can go. And I was told by other people who has gone through this that this is what's going to happen, but I never kind of believed that it would actually be that way, because I thought, how could it be? Because it was so scary. The thought feeling of being so bare, being so naked, and not be able to, because us women, we do everything to enhance our looks, okay? And that's why how we do, we put makeup on, we do our hair, we have extensions, we have one moment we have a fringe, and then we have this and that. That's what we're like. And then all of a sudden you have like, whoop, everything gone. You have nothing.
And
you
also,
can't hide.
and you're a mum as well, and also for your, Ozzy, your son. I mean, to see that for a child must be quite distressing, to see them. What about you, George? In terms of, have you got anything that you would like to ask Karolina on this?
I haven't got anything I'd like to ask you. I'd just like to say I think you completely rocked it, and I think you look absolutely amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks,
and I am going to just flag up just some of these comments here, and actually it's a question I want as we just come towards the end of the a really enjoyable show again. And where was it? So let me go back up to Emma. Emma, I'm seeing so many ladies who suffer from hair loss. I think this is something that's really coming in. Sinead, hey Sinead. My sister got diagnosed with alopecia a few weeks ago and felt helpless. I'm 25 years old doing my job and I couldn't give her advice. I felt so bad. I'd done research and got in contact with Wella, and they have been amazing. I think what I want to ask is actually, how do you approach people with alopecia, your clients, Karolina? Because your experience will now put you in a good place as a hairdresser to advise women who are going through a hair loss. I mean, how sensitive we got to be to this subject?
I think before this, I would have felt a little bit more awkward about asking, and it's our job to actually notify our clients what's going on with their hair or scalp. So I think it's really important that we ask those questions. For example, have you had any problems with your scalp? Because first of all, if you have alopecia or you have signs of alopecia, you probably have tenderness in your scalp, or you have maybe itchiness, or you might have. And it's a good point then for them to prompt you. They most probably will tell you that, yeah, I have noticed my hair's thinning. But if they say your hair, their hair's thinning, don't just go and go like, oh no, don't worry about it, love. You have to actually take that seriously, because if they do have underlying health issues and it's about alopecia or something else, then they need to be tested. They need to see a doctor. And I have had actually a client, one of my clients who's been suffering from hair loss. And until I had alopecia, I didn't even think about it being alopecia. It's just because it's a different form of alopecia. So now she's going to be tested for all these different like thyroid and things, and vitamin deficiencies and things like that. So as a professional, I think it's really important that we approach that, obviously subtly, and we don't. I always find that I tone my voice down. You don't want the whole entire salon to know that there's a bald patch or there's. You have to really approach it carefully, because that person is feeling rubbish, knowing that they have.
Yeah.
They're not looking.
Well, look, Karolina, I just want to say thank you for coming on and sharing this and being so brave about it. And and I think if I couldn't, what an absolute brilliant role model you are. And I think you've done a piece in a magazine recently, didn't you? And you're actually trying to raise some money as well for research into alopecia. Would I be right in saying so?
Yeah, well, I got approached by the Women's Health magazine after I wrote the social media post, and they wanted to write a little article about this because they found it quite, really inspiring. Yeah, I do. There's a foundation called Alopecia UK, and I do want to raise some money for them because they're doing the research to try and find the cure and help for this condition. So, and there's so many areas to alopecia, like I said, that you need funding for. But one thing I would want to say, I don't want this to define me. That's one of the things that I always, I'm really wary of that. I'm still me. Hair or no hair. I don't want it to define me. It's like I've gone through some rocky road, but I'm still me.
Absolutely, well, you're gorgeous. And